Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to unpack one of the absolute most fascinating paradoxes of human communication. Have you ever noticed that sometimes the literal meanest things we say to each other are actually signs of deep affection? We spend our entire lives being told to be polite, right? Mind your manners, be nice to people. And yet, in our closest relationships, we just completely throw those rules out the window on purpose. Why on earth do we do that? And maybe more importantly, what happens when those unspoken rules cross cultural borders?
Okay, let's dive into this. You are the greediest person I have ever met. I want you to imagine hearing those exact words right after you maybe ate a little too much at a dinner party. Just a dramatic pause there to let that sink in.
So, what does this all mean? Is this a totally devastating insult meant to just ruin your evening, or is it actually a sign of deep, unshakable friendship? How can a combination of words that look so inherently hostile on paper actually function as a token of camaraderie? Well, this is the central knowledge gap we are going to explore today. To solve this mystery, here is our cognitive roadmap for the explainer. We are going to go from linguistic theory to a really fascinating real-world showdown. We'll hit 1. The science of offense, 2. Strategies of impoliteness, 3. The banter paradox, 4. A cross-cultural clash, and finally 5. Navigating cultural scripts.
Section 1. The science of offense. Let's establish an academic baseline for what offense actually is. So the prominent linguist Jonathan Culpeper defines impoliteness as communicative behavior designed to attack an interlocutor's face and cause social disruption. Now, in linguistics, face doesn't mean your actual physical nose and eyes, right? It refers to your social value. Basically, you have a quality face, which is your natural desire to be seen as competent, and a relational face, which is your desire to be liked and included by others. Real impoliteness is a calculated strike directly against that social identity.
Section 2. Strategies of impoliteness. This is where linguists systematically break down and categorize rudeness.
And this brilliantly illustrates how these attacks actually work in practice, based on Culpeper's taxonomy. On one side, we have positive impoliteness. This targets a person's need to be accepted. You do this by ignoring them, using taboo swear words, or calling them names. On the other side is negative impoliteness. Now, actually, scratch that. Negative here doesn't mean bad impoliteness. It attacks a person's negative face, which is their desire to just not be imposed upon. You do this by invading their personal space, condescending to them, or just constantly interrupting.
So these fall into broader outputs called super strategies. You can be bald on record, which is just a direct, in-your-face attack. You can use positive or negative impoliteness, like we just talked about. You can be off-record, tossing out sneaky innuendos. You can simply withhold politeness, like failing to say thank you for a nice gift. Or you can use sarcasm, being fake polite to cause harm. But listen, simply counting these up isn't enough. Why? Because context is what actually determines offense. Language isn't just hardwired to always cause harm.
Section 3. The banter paradox. This is the twist where the rules of politeness get completely flipped upside down.
Enter mock impoliteness, or as most of us probably call it, banter. This occurs when ostensibly impolite remarks, those taboo words, the name-calling, the harsh critiques, are actually intended and interpreted as jocular or affiliative. They are not genuinely offensive. Why? Because a shared communal ethos and the context completely cancel out the offensive intent of those rude words.
So the crucial point is that the exact same phrase can be a hostile attack that ruins a relationship, or a really powerful bonding tool that strengthens it. Teasing a friend by calling them an idiot or a selfish works because it requires a ton of trust. You are proving that your relationship is so rock solid it can withstand an artificial attack. It's like a playful performance of aggression that essentially says, hey, we're so close, I literally don't need to be formal with you. Section 4. A cross-cultural clash. Let's put this theory to a real-world test between two very different cultures.
So, researcher Soo Jung Min recently conducted an amazing study comparing how British native speakers and Korean English learners perceive and use this mock impoliteness. She gave both groups the exact same scenarios. In one, a close friend awkwardly spills coffee all over themselves. The typical British response was this highly sarcastic, hyperbolic teasing, "Way to go, klutz. Need another coffee to spill?" Right? The Korean participants, however, went totally the other way with practical concern. "Are you okay? Let me get you tissues. They actively avoided blame to mitigate their friend's embarrassment.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the hard data. When asked to rate the offensiveness of various teasing remarks on a scale of 1 to 6, the British mean was 2.1. They found the remarks pretty benign and funny, but the Korean mean was a 3.0. To put that into perspective, that is a statistically significant jump. Even though the Korean English learners were explicitly told the remarks were just a joke, they still rated the mock impoliteness as significantly more offensive. And this divergence was the starkest when public image was involved. In another scenario, a friend posts a super unflattering photo of you on social media. The British participants playfully leaned right into the joke, dropping comments like, "You evil troll, I love it." But the Korean participants, they viewed this as a serious violation of face. For them, posting a bad photo, even as a joke, threatened social harmony. So where a British person saw a fun bonding moment, a Korean participant saw a serious public embarrassment.
Section 5. Navigating cultural scripts. Let's move to and see how this builds into the why behind these totally different reactions.
The answer lies in what linguists call cultural scripts. These are the implicit, deeply ingrained norms that dictate what is appropriate in communication. Think of it like a giant padlock. If you don't have the right cultural key, a joke simply will not unlock. It's going to fall flat. Intercultural awareness is absolutely crucial here. It's the key to global communication, preventing us from completely misjudging someone's intentions just because they're operating on a different script.
So when we summarize the core differences in the moral order of these interactions, the conflicting scripts are super clear. The broadly British script values witty banter, sarcasm, and self-deprecation. In that egalitarian setup, teasing signals intimacy. It says, "We are equals." But the Korean script, which is heavily influenced by traditions valuing respect and hierarchy, prioritizes harmony, deference, and the protection of face, known as chamyeon. In this context-sensitive culture, open conflict or public embarrassment is actively avoided, so direct verbal teasing just feels way too harsh.
So, as we wrap up today's explainer, I want to leave you with a bit of a challenge. Think about your own friendships. How does your own cultural script dictate the way you use humor, and maybe more importantly, how you judge the intentions of those around you? The next time someone throws an insult your way, just take a second before you get offended, because, they might just be trying to tell you that they love you. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and definitely keep questioning the rules of the conversation.